Hello, man. So this is happening. Keeps on coming.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning. Today's Dvar Torah is not mine. It is from this book, a Parsha Companion by Rabbi David Foreman. He spoke at Shomrei Torah. He speaks in many shuls. He's a very good Torah educator. And this is his final volume of his Parsha Companion. It just came out this month. So it's his Dvar Torah, and you'll get a flavor for his type of learning, his ideas on Chumash, on Parshas Re'eh. The Torah once again tells us, good morning, Janusz. There he is. Good morning, Janusz. The Torah tells us once again a very cryptic pasuk, Lo sevashel gedi b'chalei bimo, do not cook a kid, goat's son is a kid, right? Goat's offspring in its mother's milk, which is a very strange way of saying we should not eat meat and milk. Very strange way of saying it. So we're going to share. I'm going to share with you Rabbi David Foreman's Dvar Torah. Almost none of it is mine. It's all his. Almost very few additions are mine, but let's see what he says. He calls this chapter of cheeseburgers, law, and spirituality. As an aside, I had a kosher cheeseburger and I did not like it. Probably because it does not taste like a real cheeseburger. I don't know what a cheeseburger tastes like. The Rambam tells us you shouldn't say feh, it's treif. You shouldn't say I don't want one. You should say, of course I would love one. But that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what can I do that God goes Rani Olai commanded me not to? Okay, so I would love to partake. It's part of the world, but you're not allowed to partake, and that's why we don't partake of these things. So I don't even like those fake cheeseburgers. I don't like fake bacon. I don't like fake foods. I don't eat tofu generally because I don't like fake foods. Honey, I agree with you. Okay, anyway, but the quintessential non-kosher food, Rabbi Foreman says, is the cheeseburger. You won't find that Isur to eat meat and milk in the Torah. The Torah never says don't eat milk and meat. Chazal learn out from the 3 times it says, Lo sebashel gedi b'chalei bimo. 3 times it says that, twice in Shmos and once in Devarim. There are 3 things. There's an Isur achila, not allowed to eat. Isur bishul, not allowed to cook them together. And Isur hana, not allowed to have any hana, any benefit. If they're cooked together, you have to throw it out. You can't give it to a dog. You can't leave it for your non-Jewish neighbor. You can't. You have to destroy it. There's no heter to have any hana from them. So Rabbi Foreman asks, and from now I'm going to refer to him as he asks, the Torah could have said that simply. The Torah could have said that. Don't mix meat and milk. Why does the Torah have to say, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk? And envision this. It seems almost cruel to take, you're going to go hunting. There's a goat. There's a little baby. Goat just had a baby in the wild. I'm going to take that goat, that little kid, and I'm going to take the mother. Oh, there's some milk. I can milk the mother, and I can cook it. I mean, it seems cruel. to do that. It seems something a person wouldn't do. It's a midas achzarius. It would be a very cruel trait to do something like that. We'll come back to that. That's going to be one of the keys of today. He says, why does the written Torah say one thing while the oral Torah, that means the Torah Sheba'al Peh, explains these laws to me and says something totally different? And as an aside, he doesn't say this. He gives two examples. One he does say, and I'll give you that one in a minute, but there's an aside. I once lost a wallet. I was at Hunter College, I remember, taking a course. I lost a wallet. And then I asked, it was in the cafeteria, so I asked, it was a Muslim, very honest cafeteria worker, if he found it. I described it, and he took it out of his pocket, and he says to me, he said, "Lo tigno." Very impressed, very impressed. And I said, thank you. You know your 10 commandments. I wasn't so sarcastic to say you don't know your 10 commandments, because it's not one of the 10 commandments. Because lo tigno does not mean thou shalt not steal. It means steal a human being. Thou shalt not kidnap. Thou shalt not abduct. Lo tignovu, later in Parshas Kedoshim, and lo sigzo, they mean stealing the way, don't be a thief, don't be a robber. That's what it means. I wasn't going to say that because then he would have said, let me go and learn my 10 commandments again, sir, and then I would maybe not get the wallet. I don't think he would do that. But it reminds me, I got a ticket. I almost got a ticket speeding in Paramus. Be careful on Route 208, Route 4, be careful, Route 17. And the cop, can I see your license and registration? He comes back and says, I saw he was checking it out for 5 minutes. He said, you have a clean record. You know, my computer is not up and running today. It's your lucky day. I wanted to tell him, with all the money we pay you at the mall in Paramus, the stupid computers can't run. Then I was smart enough not to tell him. I said, thank you, officer, and I drove away very slowly. Okay. So there's another one. There's another famous one also, and he quotes Rabbi Kuperberg from Michlala, who wrote Pshuto Shel Mikra. So people who learn Pshat, Rabbi Kuperberg, the Rosh of Michlala for many years, wrote an explanation of what is the Pshat of a pasuk. Very, very scholarly work. I read part of it. And he talks about the Torah's example where it says, ayin tachas ayin. The Torah says, if a person injures another human being, you have to do ayin tachas ayin, eye for an eye. Some cultures did an eye for an eye. But Chazal tell us, mamon. And the halacha is, it's a machlokas, mamish or mamon, but the halacha is mamon. We pay. Based in decides how much that eye gives that person in terms of what power of earning the person has with an intact, healthy eye, and what did you damage, and that's what you're going to pay. May not be the best thing. You injured somebody's eye, and you get off just by paying. Even if it's a lot of money, it's not the same thing. Indeed, it's not the same thing, but Rabbi Kuperman says that the written Torah preserves the moral gravity of the offense. Yeah, you injured somebody's eye, it should be your eye that's injured. Ayin tachas ayin, you'll know what it feels like. Very stark articulation. The written Torah says moral. In morals, ethically, this is what you did. While the oral Torah provides the practical, just or fair compensation, implementation for everyday life. You can't live that way as a society, because if you do that, you knock out someone's eye, they'll knock out your eye. Who's going to judge that it's the same punishment? You can't judge that. So you have to have a moral, you have to have a fair legal system cannot exist like that. So for a just for an honest implementation of everyday life, for practical implementation, that's what you need, the Torah Shebechsav, the Torah Sheba'al Peh. That's the idea that David Foreman, Rabbi Foreman, is going to explain. Okay. He asked a beautiful question. Why do I need so many laws in the Torah? There are 613 halachos, and there are thousands, the Rabbanans. I should say hundreds, the Rabbanans. Feels like thousands. Why do you need so many laws? Aren't there great ideals in the Torah? Love, compassion, justice. Aren't there great moral ideals? So he said,
it's like when you go to a restaurant, you have a tremendous menu. You try to do some of the ones that you can do, so you have choices.
so you could still have choices. You could feel love, you could feel compassion, you could feel goodness, you could feel beneficence.
You have different options.
Oh, you're
If it was
so
close, maybe you might feel that you can't do any of it. You have so much, maybe you could do some of these things.
Yeah, okay. So explain to you. He gives. Let's hear his example, then I'll come to Torah's example. Let's hear his example. He said he was driving on the road, and he got a ticket. His taillight was out. Okay, and there are laws. A cop stopped him, and he felt the weight of law and order coming down on him. Okay, so this is the law and order. Law is a bunch of great ideals also. There's supposed to be pursuit of liberty, pursuit of happiness, equality, and you're getting a ticket for a taillight. How does that advance the ideals, the wonderful ideals? It's part of law and order. And Chazal tell us, my aside, in Pirkei Avos, that you have to pray for the Shlomo Shel Malchus. You have to pray for peace of the government, because the laws of the government, without those laws, Ish Chayim B'la'o, one person would swallow up the other alive. So there are the good morning, Lainey. Jonathan's here. Yes.
With the taillight, all you have to do is get it fixed within a certain time period and show that you fixed it.
Okay.
It's dangerous when you're driving without it.
Okay. So ideals. Okay. So you're raising it to a higher level. It's not just law and order. Yeah, but it was broad daylight. And okay, so he's getting a ticket, but you right? You understand, but the cop's doing his job. So question is, why these mundane things? He quotes Rabbi Beryl Wein, who passed away a couple of years ago. And Rabbi Beryl Wein said, anyone ever hear this? What is life like? Life is like chewing gum. Chewing gum. Why is it like chewing gum? Anybody in the Zoom world? I'll tell you why it's like chewing gum. First, you get a little flavor, and then it's all chew. You can drive through America, Rabbi Foreman says. You're going to the national parks. And most of the time, what are you passing by? Cornfields. And after a while, one cornfield looks like another cornfield. And there's mamish nothing new. It's boring. So you might have some interesting things, but most of the time, all you see are the cornfields. So there are a lot of cornfields in life. Most of the time, your life is nothing new, nothing special. I mean, there are days your wedding day should be great. I'm talking to people who are happily married. It should be great. Milestone anniversaries, the day you retired, right? There should have been a great party. Going to the Alps, going to see Yerushalayim the first time, bucket list items. Yeah, but most of the time it's cornfields, sitting in airports, waiting for the flight, sitting on the tarmac. Most of the time life is cornfields. So what do you make of that? Rabbi Foreman asked. How do we understand that? Do we understand that, yes, we have to just, there's two ways to look at it. Do we just grin and bear it? Most of the time in this world, life is going to be boring. And that's the way it is. We're just going to wait until something is interesting. Or maybe we're missing the point. The other approach is to question our premise about the values of cornfields, the values of the mundane. What are the values of all the rituals? What are the values? We're not just waiting for the great moments. What can we learn from the mundane? How does that relate to our life? Okay. He quotes a poem from Emily Dickinson. That's why you're going to like Rabbi Foreman. He is very well read. Yeah, you know him. Very well read. So let me read you the poem. It's a short poem, and then he describes it. He analyzes it. He says, here's her poem. A deed knocks first at thought, and then it knocks at will. That is the manufacturing spot. And will at home. And well, it then goes out and act. Or is entombed so still that only to the ear of God its doom is audible. Once again, you have thought, you have will, where you manufacture the thought, and then you have to go from the will at home, you have to go to an act. And if you don't act, or it is entombed so still that only to the ear of God its doom is audible. So he says, the genesis of a deed, its inception, lies in thought. You get a good idea. The idea, he gives an example, the idea of, let's try to stop drunk driving. It's important. How do you stop drunk driving? You get a thought. What gives you that thought? Maybe you know somebody that suffered from drunk driving. Maybe you know a mother and you see her anguish, lost a child to drunk driving. So you got to do something about it. So that may transfer to the will, the manufacturing spot. What does the will do? I want to do something about it. You want to start. You want to be a member of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You want to go to a town council. You want to be an activist. You want to be somebody who does something about enforcement. Okay. Action. If it only remains a thought and you don't do any action, it's a great thought, but it becomes entombed so still that only God can hear its audible doom. It's gone. That's basically my aside. Mitzvos, Hashem is compassionate in one way that we know. HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges us differently than the Umos HaOlam. If a non-Jew has a great idea and doesn't act on it, doesn't bring it to fruition, it never counted. But if we have a good idea and we say, I want to do this, and we actually make up our mind to do a good deed, a mitzvah, even if we are blocked from doing it ultimately, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashava L'maisa. Hashem considers it as if we actually did that mitzvah. This is a wonderful, compassionate gift from Hashem, because the idea is that Bnei Yisrael want to do Ritzon Hashem. We really want to do what God, and by extension, what the Chachamim tell us the Torah means for us to do. We want to do it. We may not succeed in getting to do everything, but if we want to do a mitzvah, check, as if we did the mitzvah. But in general, only God knows. If you don't act on your thought, you might have a lofty ideal, but if you don't act on that ideal, garnished, it's not going to come to fruition. He gives an example of a man who sits on a stone floor and he's meditating and contemplating about how much he loves his wife. And the meditator, someone sees him meditating. And he says, you're just thinking about love. Do you feel anything for her in your heart? Is it just thought? Do you have any feeling? And he says, yes, I'm careless. Of course. I love my wife. I'm passionate about her. I feel the love deep in my heart. He's enthralled with himself. His wife tells him, honey, change the diaper, take out the garbage, do something. Those actions, those little actions that you do, that's what makes it real. If your actions never get to that point, then your love eventually dies. It means nothing. What you have inside, if it doesn't lead to an action, the greatest ideals are not realized. They mean nothing. And Rabbi Foreman calls this cognitive dissonance. And we know this as cognitive dissonance. That means if you have a thought between something you think and something you do, then something has to give. Because you can't think I'm this type of person, and meanwhile you're not doing anything. Something has to give. Either you stop thinking how great you are, or you start doing something. But you can't have a contradiction in your actions and thoughts and live healthily. It's called cognitive dissonance, and it's a very well-known psychological idea. So he takes a look at the Torah Shebitzav and Torah Sheba'al Peh. Let's get to this idea of cheeseburgers. He says, let's look at the Torah Shebitzav. There are two different methods of talking about ideals. There are two different ways of looking at it. You can talk about it from the standpoint of two opposite poles. Each system talks a little bit differently about it. And he gives an example. Okay. You could talk about an ideal of not mixing meat and milk. You could talk about it from the standpoint of the Torah. The Torah says, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. Okay. Or you could look at the same concept as the Chachamim do, and they say it's usher to eat milk and meat together. Two, they're looking at milk and meat. We're looking at it from different places. The Torah Shebitzav takes one approach. The Torah Sheba'al Peh takes one approach, cooking, a weird statement, cook in its mother's milk. The Torah Sheba'al Peh takes it very practical. Don't cook, don't eat them together, don't have any benefit from milk and meat. Doesn't talk about a kid and its mother's milk. So let's see what's going on. He says, in the beginning of the creation, what did man eat? You know what man ate? I'll read you the pasuk. Vayomer Elokim. I'll read it to you in English. God said to Adam, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food, la'achla, for eating. And the next pasuk says, and to all the beasts of the earth, all the animals, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, all the other animals of creation, everything that has the breath of life in it, anything that has a breath of life, means not inanimate and not a plant. I give every green plant for food. Man and beast are given vegetables, trees, seeds. They're not given anything to eat another living creature. We had no permission to eat a living creature. In fact, before the Torah, before the Bnei Noach, I understand, I remember learning that if a man killed an animal, you're chayav misa. How dare you kill a living thing? You would have been chayav misa for killing an animal. I remember I ran over a dog, a little poodle ran under my car. It was a terrible feeling. I had my mother-in-law in the front seat, my father-in-law in the back. And my mother-in-law was frail and her, of course, had her seatbelt on. Had it been, chas v'shalom, a little child crossing in front, I would have slammed on the brake, of course. And I might have broken a rib of my mother-in-law, but I couldn't take a chance with a little dog. I couldn't take the chance of hurting a 90 or 85, 86-year-old woman. Just a second, the dog ran under the car and I heard the crunch and I was devastated. But a cop told me afterwards, I waited for the cop. The owner didn't say a word to me because the dog was off the leash. The cop said, I know how you feel, but it's just property. Not to be crass, it's just property. It's not a living thing. It's not a human being. But back in the time in creation, it was a living thing. Yes.
Up until the time that they actually ate meat, that they brought a carbon that wasn't an animal.
The what?
Up
Until the time, yeah.
That
Yeah.
They started eating meat up until that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
If they wanted to bring a carbon, they never brought an animal.
They didn't bring a car. They didn't bring a carbon. No, they didn't bring. I don't think Hevel and Cain brought a carbon. They brought from the animal. They brought. I don't think they brought. Right. They brought things. They brought skins. They didn't bring. I don't think. No. I don't think that, or the wool. They brought the wool. I don't think they actually killed. I could be wrong. I don't think they actually killed an animal. It was Noach that
was the first one.
Was the first one that actually shechted an animal for a carbon. I'm not sure he was allowed to eat it then until Hashem gave permission. It might have been an Olah. I don't know how Noach's carbon was. That's a good question. But afterwards, and just like you said, after things change, after the flood, after the Mabul, Hashem tells Noach, yeah, I'm giving you took care of the animals, you saved the world, so you have a right. Now, that's the way Chazal understand it. You have a right to eat of the animals, but you cannot eat Aver min achai. There are restrictions. You cannot eat an animal with lifeblood still in it. Limb from an animal? No. And we translate that as midas achzarius, to be a terrible thing. The Torah says don't do it. We try to understand why. So to our limited understanding, it's cruel, we would say, to eat, to rip off a limb and to eat it. It would be cruel. But the Torah is giving us balance and respect. Yes, I'm giving you permission, Hashem says, to eat certain things, but I'm giving you restrictions. When it comes to milk and meat, the Torah says, he analyzes milk and meat. What is milk and what is meat? Meat is a carcass. Meat is a dead animal. Yeah, you tell a kid you're eating a chicken, you're eating a dead animal. You don't teach a kid that. My father used to say when a piece of meat tasted great and the chicken tasted great, he used to say, it gave its life for this, gave its life for you. Yeah, okay, a little funny Polish sarcasm. It gave its life for you. You're right. You have to understand. It did give its life for you. But milk is the life-giving force. You don't have any greater force, any greater idea of life, mother to offspring, as milking an offspring. So Rabbi Foreman says, the Torah's ideal, the Torah is trying to transmit an ideal to you. I give you certain permissions in the world, don't put them together. Don't take a life force and haphazardly mix it together with death. Keep them separate. Respect that this world, yes, we master over animals, but we are not the masters over animals. We are not in charge. We have to do something that is given to us by permission. And for those who watch kids shows, you watch the movie Avatar, you see when they killed an animal, they said something to the animal, like thanking the animal for something. It's probably Avodah Zarah to do that. But the respect given to a living thing that, yes, I'm taking what you had, what your life is, and that's my sustenance. Have respect for it. So that's what he says is the ideal. You can't go practice that ideal every time you eat, every time you go to eat. How do we understand that? That is where the practical applications come in, to have this great ideal. Don't cook meat and milk together. Milk falls into the pot, ask a shaila, are you allowed to have any food from that pot? Oh, you have a milk and meat sandwich that your landscaper left. Oh, can I give it to the dog? Be careful. Is it milk and meat? No. Always keep that ideal by doing the mundane, by doing those halachos that we have so many of in the Torah Sheba'al Peh. We are maintaining that ideal of always remembering boundaries and respect for Hashem's creations. A beautiful idea that the Torah Shebechsav is really a Torah about love, morality, fairness, honesty. The only way Jews get to do this is by doing the halachos. And I want to conclude with what the Chafetz Chaim said. Chafetz Chaim asked this question a different way. He asked the question, many people, Jews among them, say, why do I need all these laws? From Jews say this, Rachamana liba boy, the Gemara tells us, Hashem, the Torah wants a good heart. So why do I need all these halachas? I'll just have a good heart. He says, there's a pasuk in Boaz Chanan. We just learned it 2 weeks ago. Vayetzavenu Hashem es kol hachukim ha'ela v'yesa mishpato. I might be misreading the pasuk. Hashem commanded us all these statutes, all 613. L'tov lanu kol hayamim. For us, for our good, for all our lives. Yes, there are a lot of laws. There are ideals we want to establish. We want to reach those ideals. The only way a frum person reaches those ideals is by doing the mundane, by doing all the chukim that we don't understand, all the mishpatim that we think we understand. By doing all the laws, you may reach to the great ideals of the Torah. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank me and thank Rabbi David Foreman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody have a good day.
Janusz, you coming to the baseball game with us?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We'll save you a seat.
See the style.